folks, David here. Well, coming back from the York gun show. You know, this is going to be one of those illustrative things that I basically could point out to you guys. You can really tell the way the economy's going when you go to, like, you know, some outside thing, not a store, kind of like a flea market, or like basically like a craft show or something. And you know people that actually work the show, the gun show, the craft show, the what have you. And you start talking to the vendors, and you develop a rapport with them, and you get to know these guys, and you get a general gist of things. Okay, I can tell you for a fact, no less than 3 or 4 of my friends were actually at this York gun show, and we're working tables. And they have many varied things that these guys actually do. I mean, one of them is actually a buddy of mine. He goes to Thailand. He's actually married to a Thai, and he has the villages making, like, really cool artisan stuff for him. And it's he's got just bizarre stuff. I mean, knives, all kinds of wild carvings, cast bronze things, resin cast critters. I mean, just really outrageously just unusual stuff you normally don't find in your average travels in a gun show. And he was telling me his sales were off today. Talking to guys with like lots of gun store items, gun show items, ammo, magazines, holsters, selling like crazy, firearms to a lesser degree. Mostly, it seemed like handguns were moving. The rifle stuff wasn't really doing all that great. But here's the thing: York, Pennsylvania, is very depressed. Their workforce has pretty much been chased out because. Well, just the way things have worked out financially, there's a lot of companies that have closed ranks and just, moved out of PA, moved to states that are more advantageous, less labor union oriented, and really just kind of more friendly, less taxes. And even so much as the fact that, when you move out west somewhere, your transportation costs really change up, and, it really can be damn prohibitive. I mean, if you got a company out in the middle of Nowheresville, and you're the only, company out in the middle of Nowheresville, and there's no real reason for anybody else to be out that way, you're it. You're the big employer, and everything that you're generated is pretty much going to be having to come in and then go out as a finished product. That increases your price. But if it's cheap enough to be there, it's worth it. Now, Pennsylvania is a microcosm in either liberalism or, pockets of conservatism, not really having a good voice. My home state of Maryland, they are actively trying to remove a guy they can't get rid of this guy. He's really been a major bird underneath the blanket. Gentleman's name is Roscoe Bartlett. He's an older gentleman. I think he's coming up on now like 6th, 7th, 8th term or something. He's an older guy. He's in his 70s now. And he has been a major pain in the ass to the Democrats. And they can't get rid of him. So what do? They redistricted Maryland. I'm a Baltimore City resident, which makes me unique because Baltimore City is the only incorporated city in the state of Maryland, and yes, I am one of the 4, that's right, one of the 4 libertarians that actually resides in the city. To say it's blue is an understatement. Maryland is beyond blue. Predominantly, most of the employers in the state of Maryland aren't even in Maryland. They're the U.S. government. That's right. About the better part of maybe, I'm going to say at least almost half the people are directly related to the U.S. government, some form, faction, or member thereof. That's why Maryland is, pretty much not having financial outgrowth problems. It's pretty much stayed very stable. The house prices are ridiculous. I mean, I could literally drive across the border into PA in a $500,000 house is like $150,000 to $200,000 in PA. That's how bad it is. I mean, Mrs. Dude and I are actively house hunting, and everything we're looking at, the prices are just ridiculous. It's like, okay, that's nice, but $300,000 for a house that's not that great. Why are we spending this much again? Yeah, kind of didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. But I'm going circular, and this is just stuff that I'm noticing, kind of as the way they're doing things. They say in a lot of countries in South America there is no middle class. You're either rich, quote unquote, or you're poor. There is no middle class. I kind of see that happening a bit in the United States to some degree. They're actively trying to either tax the middle class out of existence, or they're making it so financially prohibitive that, if you make more than the $200,000, they signify as stating that you're rich. They basically then state, oh, you're rich. You know what? $200,000 after taxes is not that much money, really. I mean, when you come right down to it, a good-sized family with $200,000 and paying the kind of house prices that you have to in my state of residence, which is Maryland, you don't do so good. And they can say anything in the world about how great it is that there's lots of Democrats around to look out for each other and whatnot. But let me put this in perspective. Maryland is so blue that it's actually easier for an illegal immigrant to get like all the spiffs, the graft, and what have you than your standard U.S. residents. And I do mean like U.S. residents of the state of Maryland. I gotta move out of this state. That's just all there is to it. Maryland sucks. Alright, I'm not moving anytime soon because Mrs. Dude works for Uncle Sugar. And, you really can't move away from a government job if you work for the government. It is what it is, Oh well. I'd say in this case probably just keep your powder dry, and if things don't get fixed with the next election, it's not going to be good. And I'm not going to go any further than that, but I do have a phrase I usually say, and I usually simply say, keep your powder dry, and keep your enemies close, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Yeah, of that I shall say no more. But on this rambling diatribe, I think I'm going to break off on this one and continue heading south, and I need to find me some food too. Good times. Alright, so here it is, podcast show. I'm going to say, keep them in a 10 ring, especially if you're dealing with backbiting, self-destructive element in the United States that really has no real purpose in stating and being there any longer. Keep them in the 10 ring. Eat good. And I don't mean like, living out of a 5-gallon tub of rice. I mean like, hoping things get better. Good times.